Thanks everyone so much for tuning in. I am honored to introduce actually my congressman, Congressman Mike Johnson from the great state of Louisiana. Congressman Johnson, we're so excited to have you on this very historic day. You've been a champion for the pro-life movement for years, and I mean, since I can remember when I was in high school. So you've done wonderful work. Tell us your first reaction when you heard the news and where you think we are moving forward.
Thanks, Nicole. It's so good to see you. We are overjoyed. It's hard to put into words what today means. In fact, I'm here on Capitol Hill, been on the floor today, been doing interviews from England all the way to home in the States, and it's just surreal. You know, we prayed for this day for a long time. As you mentioned, I've been working in this arena my entire adult life. I mean, for 20 years before I got elected to Congress back in 2016, I was in the federal courts litigating cases to defend the sanctity of human life and defending our pro-life statutes that were being passed in the states. And so, it took almost a half century for us to have a court that would finally acknowledge the obvious truth that there is no constitutional right to abortion in the federal Constitution. It never was there. And today that's been declared decisively, and we could not be happier.
Yes, I was thankful to be outside the court today when the news was announced. But as you said, this has been years and years leading up to this moment. You know, in the state of Louisiana, we know that we've got some good news, what's happening on the abortion issue, but we'd love to hear more about the work you're doing at the federal level and what you've done on this issue, because we know there will be two fronts coming, but we'd love to hear more from you on that.
Yeah, Nicole, this battle is not over. It just, the battleground shifts, of course, to the states. Now, there'll be more to do and more to debate and more to advance here in Congress, but the vast majority of this work is going to be done, at the state level. And so Louisiana is a good example of that. We have been working in this arena, my entire adult life. I mean, there were efforts that began before Roe was actually handed down in 1973 in Louisiana. The Louisiana Right to Life chapter was formed and began work, and they've been doing that work. The Right to Life Federation in Louisiana has been working hard all these years. Our crisis pregnancy centers around the state have been working hard all these years, and pro-life advocates have been in the trenches. And so that had the desired effect. In Louisiana, we have trigger law. We have a constitutional amendment that was passed just 2 years ago. We become a pro-life state. And as you know, a number of other states, I think there are 9 states with trigger laws. There's a number of others who now will revert to the law prior to Roe, which means they'll be pro-life states. But there's a number of states elsewhere in the country that are going completely to the other extreme, as you know, as frightening as that is. And so there is a lot of debate to be had. I think what we need to do right now is stand to have an answer. That's what Scripture calls us to do, to be prepared in every season and all times to have an answer for the hope that we have. And we are very hopeful people. But I think our challenge right now is to speak with clarity and consistency and conviction like we've never had before. We can celebrate today, but the work is not over. And so we have to encourage people. We have to stand for women and help support them, especially those who have crisis pregnancy situations and the rest. We have to amp up our efforts for adoption and foster families and all those other efforts. But at the same time, we have to advance the idea of the sanctity of life. And I'll just say this, and I'll pitch back to you. But I was doing an interview, many of the interviews we've done since this was handed down a few hours ago now. I was talking to the BBC. And Gloria Allred was on right before me. And, they're in England. They have a totally different worldview than we do on all these issues. And Gloria Allred went on and on. She's a radical liberal activist. They want abortion on demand like the Democrats in Congress do, all the way up to the moment of birth. They want taxpayers to pay for it. I mean, it's a gruesome thing. And then they pitched to me. And they said, help us understand, what is this ideology? Why is life, why do you support the unborn so much? And I told the interviewer, who is British, I said, listen, this is essential to who we are as Americans. You understand, in our founding document, the Declaration of Independence, we declared that it is a self-evident truth that all people are made by God and that he is the one that gives them their inalienable rights. And it begins, of course, most logically with the right to life. I said, this is in the DNA of America. This is who we are as a people. And today we reaffirm that. And you cannot overstate the importance of it.
That's amazing. I think that's such a great answer. to why we're standing for what we're standing for. And, just one more quick question. I know you've got votes, so many things happening today, but would love to hear a little bit more about why this issue is so important to you personally.
Yeah, well, my personal story. I was the result of a teen pregnancy, unplanned. My mom and dad were high school sweethearts, and I was conceived their junior year of high school. And so they decided, thankfully, to drop out. I was born in 1972, January of 72, exactly 1 year before Roe. But abortions were available, of course, and some people try to convince them to take care of that problem. Well, I was the problem. Thankfully, they chose life. And it's a happy ending. I'm the oldest of 4 children, and we had a great family and all that. My parents were devoted to their faith and to their kids, and I'm really grateful that my mom chose life. And so this is personal to me. I mean, my mom was 17 when I was born, but I'm in the United States Congress now. So every single human life, it has inestimable dignity and value, because as the Declaration affirms, we're all made in God's image, and Scripture is clear. He knows us before we are formed in our mother's womb. And it's an important thing for us as a people, as a nation, to defend the most defenseless, to extend and respect the rights of the unborn human beings, just as we do everyone else. And, in recent days in hearings on Capitol Hill, we've had advocates for abortion come in here and just testify to some of the most outrageous things. They refuse to acknowledge that the unborn child is a human. I mean, they brought in abortion doctors who just deny the medical reality of that, the biological reality of that. We had people in some of the clips that gone viral from our Judiciary Committee hearings. We're quizzing
Yes.
these providers, and they can make no distinction between, they will suggest that the murder of a 10-year-old child is wrong and should be unlawful, and a 2-year-old child. But when we say, what's the difference between the child that's 1 week old or 1 hour old and a child that's 8 inches up the birth canal, what's the principal distinction? And they have no answer to that. So the logic is on our side, the truth is on our side, and so is medical technology. And we ought to be bold about it right now, to share the truth, do it in love, to reach out a renewed hand of compassion, but to stand boldly for that truth, because now many, many more lives will be saved.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that story. We're so thankful that your mother chose life and raised someone who is truly fighting for the lives of others, so many others. And so thank you for all you've done, Congressman Johnson. You've been an amazing leader in the House Judiciary Committee, as you said, bringing out the truth of what life truly is. So thank you for all your hard work on the Hill and that you've done for the pro-life movement. It's been an honor to have you today.
Thank you. Good to talk with you.